Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U. And today we're going to be talking about romantic comedies are back. Listen, I've been talking with different writers who are inside the industry. I also had a writer today who has a manager looking at her projects. And when she asked the manager what she wanted to see, the manager said rom-coms. So rom-coms are back. This it just recently we've had a couple of pretty big successes. We've had projects that have been picked up that are rom-coms. So this may be your time if you want to write a rom-com. Today we're going to be analyzing Fly Me to the Moon. I hope you've had a chance to see this. If you haven't, absolutely go see it. I say that for two reasons. One is it's a good movie and absolutely worth seeing on the big screen. But the second is we need to support this industry. And that means, every chance you get, go to a theater and see a movie. Uh, I believe in this industry, and I hope you do too. And they need to be supported. So it's important. I think we need to be able to keep theaters as part of our experience, and all it takes is just going to the movies. So do that and have fun. Now, today, first, we're going to look at what's new with rom-coms. There's a couple of things that I think you should know that will help you on your journey, even if what it means is doing a quick rewrite on something you may have written 5-10 years ago. I think some things have changed. Second, then we'll look at an easier way to get a rom-com produced. There are lots of ways to try to get in these doors that if you haven't been there yet, may be difficult. This one is an easier way. So third, we'll look at the rom-com puzzle that you absolutely have to solve. And it's like, I think a lot of times people think, I'm just going to create a story where two people fall in love and that's good enough. There's the reason that you have a puzzle here is because this particular genre ends in a way that most people can predict. We watch this couple go through all of this stuff, and in the end, they 98% of the time end up together. And you can set it up so it looks like they won't and things like that to create more suspense. But I would say creating a puzzle that the audience, that first you as the writer have to solve, but second, that the audience is going to be solving unconsciously will make your rom-com so much more interesting. And then we'll do the analysis of Fly Me to the Moon. I'm going to give you a couple of different perspectives on it that I think will be useful and helpful to you. And finally, we'll talk about the brand new class. Romantic comedies are back. This is something we just created. It's our newest class. I've had an incredible time working with the development team that's involved in this. They love romantic comedies. All of them have written comedies. And so we've just had such a fun time analyzing all of these movies. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So what's new for rom-coms? Just a couple of things. There are some other things, but these are the ones I think that are most important for you to know now. First, stronger female roles. We've been seeing that a lot. Its time has come, because the women are the primary audience for rom-coms. It's the other way you could look at it is to say couples, right? But it's like we should have strong female roles. So we're not looking for damsels in distress. That's not what's happening. And if you've seen this movie, there's no place that this woman plays that role. We're looking for lead women who are powerful. They have some kind of vision. They drive the movie. And If you do that, what happens is you have a much better chance of getting a major actress to want to play that role. But also there's this one other thing. Actresses and actors are producing rom-coms. So I'll show you some of those in just a moment. But what this does is gives you more access. Now, think about that for a moment. If you were thinking the way you were going to get your rom-com made was by going to a studio or a streamer or a producer who is connected to a studio or a streamer, the producer that's connected to the studio or streamer, that strategy works. But you also can go to actresses and actors production companies, and a lot of them have them. Let me show you what I'm talking about. These are some rom-coms that have been produced since the pandemic. In 2022, The Lost City came out, produced by Sandra Bullock. Her company, Fortress Films, has actually produced quite a few movies, so she was a leader in this particular area. Father of the Bride came out, produced by Andy Garcia and Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's company, Plan B, is the name of his company. He's produced quite a few movies. Then in 2023, Anyone But You, produced by Sydney Sweeney. Now, just to be clear, on all of these movies, there are 7 to 10 producers. But I'm saying the actor or actress played a major role in getting this movie made. And in many cases, they have a producing credit. In some cases, they were where the project originated. Let me give you a couple others. Ghosted, produced by Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. And then Hitman, which was produced by Glenn Powell, right? Another, he's over here. He didn't actually produce Anyone But You, but he did produce this one. Let's go into 2024. The Idea of You, produced by Anne Hathaway, another movie absolutely worth seeing. Upgraded, produced by Camila Mendez. Mother of the Bride, produced by Brooke Shields. And then the one we're talking about today, Fly Me to the Moon, produced by Scarlett Johansson. This, again, what this does is give you another avenue to get in the door. When Cheryl and I were producing, we interacted with a lot of actors' production companies. They were much easier to get into than some of the other big ones. So it's just something to consider. Also, if you have a project that would be great for a particular actress, this gives you a place to go where that is going to be at the top of their list when they're making their decision. So, you know, it's another way to increase the chance that you can make a deal. Now, having said that, let's talk about the rom-com puzzle. And this is just a simple set of situations that you want to design into your rom-com. And again, the reason why, first, it's going to make your story more interesting and more compelling. It's going to make it a little more complex. And it's going to cause whoever is watching it, the audience, to be more engaged because they're trying to figure out how this thing is going to come together. So I'll just give you the simple version and then we'll show how it shows up in Fly Me to the Moon. First question is, who is she? Who is he? And what you're looking at is, who are they that fit this story, that makes them the right characters for it? Then what attracts them and what repels them? The way you're going to tell your love story is not all roses. Well, maybe it is roses and there's some thorns, basically. So you need something that attracts the two characters together, and you need something that repels them. That brings us to similarities and differences. These may not actually fit this. Similarities, maybe they have common background, they have things that they both like, those kinds of things. Differences are going to be the things that they argue about. Then what's the issue of the issues that are keeping them apart? And both characters will have an issue that needs to be resolved for them to be together. If you leave this part out, what you have is a fairly superficial story of these two people coming together and they're perfect for each other. Having them have to work through issues actually gives you a transformational journey for each character. So it's absolutely worth doing. Then there's a crucible, something that keeps them together while they're going through those issues. This is critically important because a lot of people in real life, you know, they start dating, first time they hit something that doesn't work, they split. And they may not come back together. But if there's a crucible, if there's something that keeps them together, then they've got to work through this. An external force that demands change. This could be their family, it could be their friends, it could be something else, but it's essentially requesting or demanding that they make some kind of change, which again takes us back to these issues that need to be changed. And then moments of discovery. And here's what this is. Whatever attracted them in the very beginning may be enough to keep them together for a little bit, but what this is about is them discovering something deeper, something under the surface that causes them to want to be together, and ultimately they have a reunion expressing love. Now, again, all of these things work together to be able to make a rom-com work. Now, let me just take you through it with Fly Me to the Moon. First, for those of you who haven't seen it or haven't seen the pitch for it or anything else, let me just give you just a pretty bland, obvious pitch. Kelly Jones, her, a PR person who's hired by the president to make the moon landing an exciting event for all of America, and really also to make sure that it announces to the world that America has won the moon race against the Russians, all of that. She's given total freedom by the president, but Cole Davis, the launch commander, wants everything run by the book. And in fact, let's just say it this way, Cole wants her out. Now, and they fall in love as the first human walks on the moon. So you're watching a bigger story here that could be a drama. It could be a couple of other genres, but this is also going on inside that story. They are going through the process of falling in love. And falling in love doesn't just mean that one moment where everybody's like, oh my God. It also means going through the issues. So let's look at how that works. So who is she? Who is he? She, Kelly Jones, she's a PR person who delights in her ability to manipulate and charm others, right? This is the thing she's best at in the world, played by Scarlett Johansson. And this may be one of the best roles I've ever seen her in. So worth going to watch just for that. Then Cole Davis, he's the launch commander of Apollo 11 and the chief rule enforcer. Now, when we have somebody up here who likes to get away with things, and we have someone here who is a rule enforcer, those two are going to conflict. He's played by Channing Tatum, who does a great job. I've seen him in better roles, but he does a really good job here. What attracts? What repels? So what attracts? One of the things is they're both exceptional, right? These are people who are worthy opponents. They're both powerful. They both do their job incredibly well. But also, he has a special need. He needs recognition and funding for the space program. And when I was doing corporate training, I actually worked with NASA for, I think, 5 years. And this was 5 years in the, in the 90s. And they were sending up missions at that point every 3 months, and nobody even knew it. It wasn't a news event anymore. They had major recognition issues at that point, and apparently at the point of Apollo 9, 10, 11, they also had those. People weren't recognizing them for what they were doing, and they were losing funding left and right. So he has a major need, but he also needs to think outside the box. Because Jesus, he ever a rule follower. She has a need for someone stable and to learn how to succeed with the truth. So here's the way you want to be building these, these two. You want him to have a need that she can fulfill if everything goes great, and her to have a need that he can fulfill. This is part of what's attracting them to each other on an unconscious level. You can say, well, they're the pretty people. They're beautiful and, and perfectly built and all of those kinds of things. And yes, there's physical attraction there. But if all you have is physical attraction, that's 100% superficial. You need something that's beneath that surface to be able to make it work. And then what repels? They're going in opposite directions, right? And they are going in exactly opposite directions. Every step she takes violates his world. So, that's a real problem. Similarities and differences. Again, they're both powerful. They're both exceptional at their job. This is one of their similarities. They both have a love for going to the moon. So they both have kind of the same ultimate vision in that situation. Differences, they're opposites on truth. He is pretty much 100% everything you say absolutely has to be true. And she is not only willing to bend the rules, she goes way beyond that. She wants to commercialize the moon landing, and it's actually what she's being paid for. He hates that. And he is a rule follower and enforcer. She believes that rules are to be broken. So there are some things, again, that work well for them and some things that absolutely get at both of them. Issues that keep them apart. Her issue, telling any lie that will make the deal. And it may not bother her before this, but once she gets into a relationship with him and it becomes a problem, now she's starting to look at it in a different way. She's also hiding a past of illegal activity that along the way she comes clean about. His issue is believing that his way is the only way, and he's in charge at NASA. He's in charge of the launch. He has all these people that work for him. And in the midst of that, whatever he says goes, with the exception of her. And he feels that she's disrespecting the space race and NASA and all the things she's doing. Here's the amplifier. All of this gets amplified as every success that she has violates his world. So she succeeds, he doesn't. If he succeeds, she doesn't. And that's a pretty amazing way to build conflict between two characters. So when you watch the movie, if you haven't seen it, watch for that. Then the crucible that keeps them together, and this is really, really easy. They have an external event that keeps both of them together, the Apollo 11 moon mission. And when she shows up, they're working on Apollo 10, but they're working on Apollo 10 to get to 11. 11 is the one that the first time that they actually land on the moon, the first time a human being has stepped on the moon, all of those kinds of things. It is something that will be memorable from now on. So this is pretty important. So this mission is keeping them together. Now, there's an external force that's demanding the change. And you can look at it a couple of different ways, but here's the way I look at it. It's Mo Berkus. And when you see this movie, you'll see Mo never actually identifies what he does for a job. He seems to be kind of CIA-ish. He's definitely covert. He knows things other people wouldn't know. He has power that the only way you can define it is he just keeps mentioning that the president likes this or the president says that. But we don't know what the real connection is or who he really is. This is the external force, he forces her to do this job. And when you see it, you'll see he actually sets it up. So she doesn't really have a choice. Then he forces him to keep her on and to work with her. He forces them to be together. Now, by the way, at one point, Cole calls Mo to fire her, and that doesn't go well for them. We'll talk about that in a minute. But in the midst of it, right in the middle, they start getting along well. And you see here, Cole is taking her on a plane ride on his plane. So these are some of our moments of discovery. She hears about his losses. He was the launch commander on Apollo 1 when the launch didn't go off. Instead, they had a fire inside the cockpit and nobody survived. So it's a disaster that he lived through. He knew the people. He was very, very close with them. When she finds that out, that changes how she feels about him. And then she finds out that he's been restricted from missions for health reasons. He was the top pilot, but is the only one who can't go. So he has this major wound, that's under the surface of pretty much everything they're doing. He then takes her on a flight in Jenny. Jenny is his plane. And you'll see she's got her eyes closed there because she's scared of flying. But he actually sets it up where pretty much she has to go. And it's kind of a fun thing. Apollo 11 gets funding because they work together, right? So that shifts his feelings because remember, if you go back to his need, the thing that attracted him, part of it was that he needed funding for the Apollo 11 flight, but also he wanted recognition for what they were doing at NASA. She's getting him the recognition and it's changing things. And then ultimately, after one mistake, after one thing goes really bad, she admits to being a con artist and promises not to do it again, except once, when she's going to do something against their mutual enemy, Mo, in order to make sure that the real moon landing is broadcast to the world. They have a fake moon landing that Mo has ordered. That is in order, just in case something goes really wrong up there. But both of these two want the real moon landing broadcast. And that's another moment that changes things for them. And then finally, the reunion. After Apollo 11 returns home, she goes to the fake moon set, or he goes to the fake moon set where she's wrapping things up and thanks her, and they end up kissing. And at this point, we've recognized that after they've worked through all of these issues and obstacles, they can truly be together. Now, let me give you another version of this. This one was the puzzle, right? Which, again, your job is to be able to put together that puzzle in a way that is really compelling. Here's the second version, the romance journey. And there are going to be things that are the same because it's still part of the same story. But I just want you to see this because there's actually 3 parts to the journey, the journey that these two characters have that have to do with a rom-com. This is the second. So we start with the meet cute. They're at a restaurant. He just has stepped in. He's on the way to NASA. She's working on some stuff. She's preparing and doing some quick research because she's going to be at NASA tomorrow, but nobody knows, neither one of them know any of this stuff. He puts out a fire for her. While she's working on it, somehow she gets something on the table, catches fire. She asks him to have a drink, and he turns it down. But then he comes back in and he says, if I were telling the truth, I'd say that you're the most beautiful woman I've seen. I'd buy you a drink and talk with you all night long. And that's like a moment. This is their meet cute moment. This is the moment that we go, oh, these two could be together, right? This absolutely could work. He's saying that he would change everything in that situation. We're going to find out that he's not quite as easy as it looks here, but you know, it's a moment that has us then want them to be together. Yeah. Then there's attraction flirting. His line in the restaurant and her line the next day. She's in a NASA secure area. He comes out. He says, "What are you doing here?" Her first line is, "I thought we had a connection last night and I came to get your phone number." And then she says, "Not really. I work here." But it's still flirting, right? And they have a couple other moments of flirting along the way. That takes us to denial, because this is part of it. When anytime two people are falling in love, they're going to go through some interesting emotional issues. And part of it is denial. Part of it is, you know, I don't know if this is real. Maybe it's not. Maybe it shouldn't be. Whatever it is. So he goes into full rule enforcement for most of the second act. Essentially, he's treating her as if she's an invading force of NASA, and he's trying to stop that. Separation and being forced together. These two happen at the same time. They're on opposite sides. So this is part of where they're separated. And Mo demands that they work together. So we've got essentially the president saying these two have to work together. So they are forced to be together. At one point, Cole calls Mo, as I said, to get Kelly fired, and Mo hammers him. Cole has no choice in this matter, even though he thought he was the boss. It turns out, no, he's actually not really. So now they have to work through their issues. And his main issue is stubbornness having to do with NASA rules and traditions. His whole purpose has been to keep the rules and keep everybody safe and make sure everything is followed and done exactly the way it's supposed to. Her issue is her willingness to tell any lie. So that doesn't fit well with him. And this stubbornness and absolute refusal to change doesn't fit well with her. So the change, they have to work together in order to get senators on board for funding. This is really, it's the point at which they're flying around in Jenny. And we get to see them, you know, be apart and start to come together. So things are looking pretty good here. He comes her way, and especially when he presents to the religious senator, he actually does a pitch that looks as good as her pitches, and it sways the guy. So it's like, okay, now they're both doing pretty much the same thing. Then there's betrayal, and all hope is lost. And this is the moment that in order to get the camera fixed that's on the space module, she has to show him the fake moon set that goes against everything he believes in. This is the final straw. He cannot take this or accept it. At that point, he says, "All right, I'll do it. But after that, I never want to see your face again." And he walks out. So they're done. All hope is lost. She essentially has violated the most important thing of all to him. This is pretty much over. Then finally, love happens. She saves the day. When the Apollo lands up there, she's essentially the one who makes sure that ultimately the broadcast is the real moon landing, not the fake one. And there's a big question about it. He comes over to thank her, and they kiss, showing their future together. So you've had a chance to see two different ways to do that. There's actually more than that. We'll talk about it in just a few moments. Let's talk about how to make your rom-com special. And this is special so that you can pitch it, special so that you have a chance that people are going to say yes to it and want to read your script. Special also so that you have a better chance of this movie selling. So first thing is, and we didn't talk about this today, but there are rom-com conventions that pretty much everyone who goes to a rom-com expects. They may not be able to tell you, hey, here, what are the rom-com conventions? They may not be able to tell you what they are, but there are certain things that they expect. And if those go wrong, your movie's in real trouble. So you've got to know them and honor them. Second, then you deliver on the conventions and the puzzle. Today we went through the puzzle in a unique way. If you do it exactly like this movie did, you're in trouble. Yeah, people will be saying, "Oh no, that's this other movie." You want to do it in a way that's unique and interesting and compelling. Very important. Third, you want to put together a very strong rom-com puzzle so the audience is actually wondering. So they are looking at this and going, I have no idea how are these two going to come together, because that's kind of part of the suspense of a rom-com. And then you want to discover a great concept for your rom-com. This is your 1 or 2 sentence pitch, right? It's you giving us the hook. What is the thing that will hook audiences and attract actresses? And if you can get to 1 or 2 sentences that'll do that, you've got an easy pitch that will get people to read your rom-com. Now, again, I'll tell you, most people think that rom-coms are the easiest. When we started analyzing them, we found so many things beneath the surface that make a great rom-com great. And if they're missing, they keep other scripts from ever being even considered. So stay with me right now. Let me just walk you through this upcoming class, and I'll show you some of the other parts that we haven't talked about today. That are important to rom-coms and can make the difference as to whether you can sell or not. So here we are. This program it's called Romantic Comedies Are Back, because I love that. I love it that romantic comedies are back. It's like I can't think of a better time to have rom-coms than the present environment in our world. So much conflict out there, so many people saying terrible things to each other, all that kind of thing. And whatever side somebody's on, it's all justified, but still, it's like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to laugh and have fun and fall in love again, which is what rom-coms are about. So you come in, you take one project through the entire model. That project could be something brand new, something you just came up with the idea of yesterday or today, or it could be a script you've already written and you're looking to make sure that you really hit all the marks on this and that you're able to write an incredible rom-com that will attract producers, agents, and managers. So this one, we start where you need to, which is the concept and the conventions. Your concept is your pitch, and it's also the main decision that guides everything else. The conventions are the other decisions that guide everything you do from that point on. We want to make sure we have those two, because this is what a producer needs to see to say, yes, we'll move forward on this. Then we're going to go to the key decisions for characters. Second thing that a producer needs to see, and probably the first thing that actors need to see. And by the way, I've interviewed a lot of actors' production companies. Actors' production companies need both of these. They need a concept that is a great pitch, and they need characters that they can sell to their actors. Third, now we're on track one. What's the bigger story, right? On this story, the bigger story was about the moon landing. It was about what was going to happen at NASA. How could they get this moon landing to go right, and all of that. Then inside of that was the stages of romance, the romance story, and exactly what steps do they go through to have a believable romance that will cause us to fall in love with them. Then there's track three, which is his journey and her journey. I didn't cover this at all today, but this essentially, each of these characters is going to have a transformational journey that fits both for the bigger story and the romance. If you just leave it where everybody just has the story that just goes with the romance, you're going to leave out such an important part that will keep audiences deeply engaged. At that point, we put all three of those together in order to be your plot. So you've got a plot that is designed specifically from start to finish for a rom-com. It's not missing anything, which is the problem that I think a lot of people have. Lesson 7, now you gotta make sure you have comedy. So you've got a plot. Now you're going to go through, and we've got 2 different lessons on comedy. They go to the 2 key things you need in a rom-com for comedy. One is incongruent situations. You need situations that are designed to cause people to laugh in some way. And a lot of times people only focus on the dialogue, which actually is the second. That is important. But if you're missing these incongruent situations, you're not going to have a lot of opportunities for some great comedy dialogue. So that's why we put it first. Then we're going to go through the emotions of romance. And what this is really about is, how do you create each one of those emotions for an audience, right? How do you cause an audience to be yearning for these 2 to be together? How do you cause an audience to ultimately feel love? Not just to say, oh, I saw love on the screen, but I felt it, right? There's a series of emotions that happen in a rom-com, and you need to be able to do all of them, not just for the characters on the screen, but also for the audience. At that point, then it's about dialogue. We're going to look at banter, flirting, and expressions of love. And it really, if you miss any of these, you're in trouble. If the flirting seems creepy, not good. But if what you've done for expressions of love are just really obvious and they don't cause an audience to feel it, again, it's like, okay, you talked about love, but we didn't get it. So this stuff will make a huge difference for you. Now then we come to the funny lines, and these will look to the incongruent situations and say, what kind of lines could some of these characters say that would actually be funny? And I'll walk you through how to create punchlines and toppers, which are 2 things from the stand-up comedy world I spent some time in. Then it's special moments. What are those special touching moments? You know, the ones that when you get to, you go, oh. So you need to be able to do that, because that's part of what makes an audience feel connected. And then, of course, scenes of love. I have seen scripts before where they go to sex really fast, thinking that that's love. Not true a lot of times. So this needs to be an emotional journey in this scene, and that's important. And finally, then, how do you make this rom-com absolutely amazing? Now, it's a 30-day class. You'll go through it 1 step at a time. Every lesson you will learn something new. Every lesson you will become stronger. As soon as you sign up, we will send you the pre-lesson on creating amazing rom-com concepts. What I would encourage you to do is to use it and brainstorm your first concept. Then come back a couple of days later, do it again, brainstorm another one. If you have time in between now and when the class starts, do it again. If you come in with 2 or 3 or 4 concepts that you absolutely love, then on the first day, you'll pick the one that you think is best, the one that will get you where you want to go, and take it through the whole journey. The class starts August 26th. So that gives you just about a month to brainstorm concepts and to watch some of the rom-coms we're going to suggest and that kind of thing. The regular price on it is $199. Let me give you a special. This is for the first 10 people that sign up. The special on this is, let's see, it's $129. It'll save you $70. This is a brand new class. So you're getting in at the very beginning for $70 off. I can't think of a better deal on that. Just simply go to this link, just write this down, bit.ly/rom-com-class. Write that down, put it in your browser where you normally put a web address, click return, and join us. Again, as soon as you sign up, you'll get the pre-lesson on creating amazing rom-com concepts. It will show you some things about creating concepts you've never seen, promise you. And then from that point on, you'll start moving forward on this class. As soon as it starts on August 26th, just every day, read the lesson and take the next step. I have some videos in there also to help you through this process. But every single day of this class, I promise you, you're going to learn something new. You are going to see your story in a stronger light. And by the time we're done, you will bring that whole story together and have a rom-com that is better than anything you've ever written up to this point. That's our whole purpose on this, is to have you write the best script you've ever written and then have a real chance to get it to somebody inside the industry. So I hope you enjoyed what we did today. My objective is to, always give you guys something that'll help you move forward and make you better writers. And if you join this class, I promise you, first, you'll absolutely love it. But second, you are going to learn so much more about rom-coms. You'll see things underneath the surface that you had never noticed before. And you will have an exact step-by-step how to build every one of those into your rom-com and make it the best it possibly can be. Again, just go to this link, write it down, put it in your browser where you normally put a web address, no spaces, no capitals, and click return and come join us. I promise you, you're going to love this romantic comedy class about love. So with that, this is Hal Krosman wishing you the absolute best on your writing, and we will see you another time. Bye-bye, everyone.